couldn't have done it without these guys. You know, Uriah, he trusted. Dustin Akbar originally contacted me at Pan Am's, and he was asking me if I was interested in doing it, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then for whatever reason, their team got filled up, and that was kind of shut down. And then one of the guys got injured, and he was like, all right, let's put Gordon in. So Uriah contacted me, and he was like, Dustin's telling me, like, you're the guy to have. So, I got to thank Uriah for setting it up, and Dustin for setting it up through Uriah, and bringing me out and, having me compete for these guys. Originally, I was going out, and I was ready to wrestle Barnett. I wanted to just, do wrestling with him and take him down. And it was like 50 degrees with like a 20-mile-an-hour wind somehow inside of a building. I was like completely like cold. I was like freezing when I went out there. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to tear a hamstring first movement if I try to do anything. So I just pulled guard, and then I just, did jiu-jitsu, warmed up. And once I swept him, I felt pretty confident, and I started moving into mount. And then he just exploded up on top of me, and I just was like, fuck, I wasn't ready for that. But his hand was posted on the floor, so I was like, okay, this triangle's there. And I was expecting him to start pressuring into me, but he started pulling out, and that just made it tighter, and it was easy for me to finish from there. So everyone was kind of, I think, shocked and proud at the same time. They were like, fuck, that was fast. And I was like, all right, like, let's do the second match now. And I knew that it was just going to be a bunch of smaller guys in the next few matches, so I was a little bit excited about that. I was always a smaller guy, like 170. I was always in Gary's weight class, so it's always a smaller guy fighting the bigger guys. I'm like, all right, now it's my turn. So I was like, I get to fight small guys now. So I went in and finished my second match by submission. And then the third match, I wasn't able to get the sub. He was doing a really good job of annoying me with 2-on-1s from the feet. He was grabbing my wrists. I couldn't really, I only had arm drags to do, and he was ready for that. So I had him in a few good spots, but I wasn't able to get the finish. And then we rested up, and I was ready for the second round. So if you're going to be ready to wrestle, just be ready to defend.
Yeah. Okay. So now, do you think we should put Antoine third and Gordon fourth so we can rest?
No, we competed at ADCC, then we competed at EBI, and we trained a bunch together, but we haven't competed since then. So Craig, I was curious to see what he was going to do, because Craig is a guard puller mostly. He comes out, sits guard, and then he plays his game. But I was like, he's going to try to wrestle me now because he doesn't want to do 8 minutes of jiu-jitsu. I was like, he's going to try to stall me with wrestling. And I was like, okay, how am I going to game plan for this? Because he didn't pull right away. So the whole thing with Craig is I know that if he sits into guard, it's hard to pass him because you can't get any upper body grips. You can't get a body lock, you can't get a top head and arm. You're like trying to hug him, and you can never get that perfect passing position. But I knew that if I shot on him and I started in a double, I was already on his hips. So when we landed in the ground, I was already in my prime passing position right from the beginning. So I took him down. Once I freed the guillotine, and then it was easy to pass from there. And once I passed him, I was like, okay, I'm going to finish him now. So, fuck Craig Jones. This is America. If I go to Australia, I'll beat you in Australia. Doesn't fucking matter, okay? Fuck Craig Jones. But hopefully he wins the ADCC next year and submits Keenan. I actually thought it was a really interesting format. The stalling calls definitely did press the action. I thought a couple of the stalling calls were questionable because I was literally top mount on someone, exhausting myself going for submissions, and they like stood me up and like gave me a penalty, and I was like, I don't know what else I have to do to be more active than this. I have like both the guys' arms over his head. It's like a minute into the match, and I'm just like, all right, well, I guess that happened. But they definitely did push the action with the stalling calls because no one wants to get DQ'd from stalling and then have their team be down a guy. So I thought it was a good way to push the action. I thought the team thing was kind of unique, like training with the completely different team members from different teams as like a unified team to go and to fight for this event was cool. Training at the UFC Performance Institute and game planning for this tournament with guys who I would never really be training with otherwise. So that was really cool. It's just another great submission-only thing for me. I just have an insatiable need to just win every single tournament ever. I could have submitted everybody, and I'm always pissed if I don't submit everybody, but what are you gonna do? So now it's just go back to New York. Well, I have to train at the Performance Institute tomorrow with a bunch of the UFC guys, so that should be just terrible. And then I have to go back to New York and practice getting good in the fucking gi again, which is also terrible. And then next few months I'll be competing in the gi and just doing no gi stuff until then, continuing to crush everybody and staying sexy.